I grew up in Jewish Detroit, going to Jewish schools and Jewish summer camps and Jewish youth groups, and went to Israel with my Jewish youth group. And right, all those institutions are also Zionist, right? So I could have said I went to a Zionist school and a Zionist summer camp and a Zionist youth group, because Judaism and Zionism were very much two sides of the same coin, right? We would celebrate a Passover. We would celebrate Israel's Independence Day. We would say the prayer for the state of Israel in synagogue. We would say the Shema in synagogue, right? You didn't even notice a difference. It was just part of Judaism if you weren't paying attention. But of course, Judaism is a 3,000-year-old religion. Zionism is a 140-year-old political ideology, right? So we're talking about religion on the one hand and political ideology on the other. These are very different things. That's why you can obviously be a Jewish Zionist, you can be a Jewish anti-Zionist, you can be a non-Jewish Zionist, you can be a non-Jewish anti-Zionist, right? There's no real correlation between Zionism and Judaism. And I think, look, someone who grows up in the environment I grew up in is not going to become an anti-Zionist overnight. It was obviously a process, right? I think the beginning of that process for me was actually spending some time in Jerusalem, in Palestine, in Israel. I wanted to improve my Hebrew. I wind up in a Hebrew language class with half Palestinians who are learning Hebrew for different reasons than me. And that was my first introduction to Palestinian culture and Arabic and Palestinian life and more generally. And I was just a curious person. I wanted to learn more. And again, the beginning for me was not political. It was just more of a cultural curiosity. But I think the next thing that happened for me was I got more interested in history. And if you get interested in Israel history and start reading Israeli history as it's written by historians, Palestinian and Israeli historians, you discover some very disturbing things. You discover that every single major Zionist leader, starting with Theodor Herzl in the 1890s, going on to Arthur Rupin in the 1930s, and going on to Joseph Weitz and Ze'ev Jabotinsky, and obviously David Ben-Gurion, and almost every major Zionist thinker is asking the question, well, how are we going to establish a Jewish state in a land that is 70, 80, 90% non-Jewish? That's a problem. They all struggle with that. And they land on different answers. Some of them are very naive and believe that, the Zionists are going to, bring economic development and prosperity and to the country, and thus the Palestinians will accept political subjugation. And there are some naive enough to believe that, but the majority view is that no, these people have deep roots in the country and they have a strong identity, and no, they're not going to accept subjugation. They're going to resist. And what do you do with a group of people who resists domination and subjugation? They all pretty much settle on the same answer, which is transfer, which is another way, which is how they described ethnic cleansing in the 1930s and 40s. Anyway, so that we start learning the history of, oh my God, the Zionists are talking about transfer openly.